price.
Well, let's go there. In fact, instead of our stock of the day, we'll talk about obviously how that commodities is playing out there. And you mentioned BHP. We'll also take a look at Woodside. Okay, so talk us through then, Carl, what you're seeing with BHP.
Yeah, and look, Henry spoke to the valuation of BHP, and I totally agree. It looks very cheap. A lot of the brokers have already forecast lower commodity prices down the track. So we're just getting the realisation with commodity prices down somewhere between sort of 30 and 40% over the last 3 months of what's already been factored into the price. So whilst I've switched to the sell side here, I do think the downside is probably limited. And I had a client note during the week, and I said, be prepared for about a 30% haircut. Now that still sounds pretty painful when you look at BHP. We could be talking low 30s here. That's the bottom end of the range. It's the lows from 2021 around about that 32 level. But with the break now of 40, that support level at 40 becomes a resistance barrier. So it represents the break-even point for so many investors who kept buying that as the bottom of the range. And if we move back into that level, it gives those investors the ability to break even. So they turn from demand to supply, and then you're into this sell the rally mode. So that would be the key level. Hey, if you're a long-term 5-10 year or doesn't matter what I say investor, you're never going to sell it. Everything I'm saying is irrelevant. If you're looking to buy, the message is clear though. I think you'll get better entry points. If you're an active investor / trader, maybe there's a short selling opportunity here.
Yep.
In line with the break of that trend. If you're a more active investor managing your portfolio actively, then I think it's I think it was time to get out, but I still sticking with that thesis.
All right, very quickly, because we're running short of time, we've got to get to Henry's view as well. Woodside, what are you seeing there?
Let's I'll just punch that one up. Look, it's a stronger trend. I don't think. Look, I think the uptrend's over, but I can't say it's in that long-term downtrend just yet. So, I think it's more of a hold, but my hold on that hold is starting to slip as well. So let's call it manage your exit. Let's take some profit off the table. But again, if you're that longer-term investor, you don't care what I say anyway, because you're going to hold it no matter what. But if you're an active trader, then that trend is starting to change, but much early stages than BHP.
Okay, Henry. So let's start with your view on Woodside.
Well, you've got to remember that Woodside isn't really an oil stock. It's more an LNG stock. And LNG around the world is the commodity of choice at the moment. The gas prices are going bananas, even though crude prices are going down. I think I agree with Carl in terms of that it's a hold at the moment. It has also been clouded and dirtied, I guess, by the BHP merger of those oil and gas assets. So it's not quite as clean and tidy as it was. It's now a sort of behemoth of the oil and gas sector. So I think for me it's a hold, but clearly if we do see more downside in oil, which I think we will, then we will see Woodside come off in sympathy, if nothing else.
Okay, and BHP?
And BHP, well, there is a price to buy it, and it's probably not far off that. I don't think it'll go to the low 30s. I think it might go to the mid 30s. But, we are seeing this kind of rotation in crashes, really. We've seen tech crash in the US. We saw tech crash here. We saw the bank sector fall out of bed here. We've now moved on to the resource sector. And at the same time, we're seeing growth stocks here bouncing big time after the June tax loss sell-off. So at some stage, we're going to be rotating back and people will be getting back out of banks and back into the BHPs of this world, but not just yet.
Okay.
So maybe dig in at around 35, $36 perhaps.
Fair enough.